So we are live. Please start, sir.
It's live.
Yes, sir.
So I can start sharing.
Sir.
Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So this is our interaction session, and I welcome all of you who may be taking this course to this meeting, and this is essentially to clear your doubts or like suggest some changes. Like if you want some additional material, you can tell that we can provide later. A few lectures we can provide you with topics that you find more difficult or like more interesting. Please let me know about this. What you would like to discuss, or if you have any specific questions. Okay. So what would you like to know about Ramsey theory? So Ramsey theory is quite a huge area. Essentially, the questions deal with like, so what happens when the size of the objects or sets or graphs that we are dealing with grows large, you will be able to find order, right, in the disorder, right? So like, even if you do whatever you want with the graph, right, how many edges you want to add, right, how many you remove, as far as the graph is large, you will be able to find some kind of ordered structures, right? That is exactly what Ramsey theory talks about. And uh, you know the questions are basically of this nature. Like, one can talk about other properties apart from looking for complete graphs or independent sets. You can ask for specific graphs or its complements or some other type of graphs. Can you say that if there is a graph of type G or a graph of type H, right? So that kind of questions can be asked. So this is a quite difficult area in general, but uh, and the work that has been done is also, I mean, there are many papers on this, but mostly they deal with very specific class of special structured graphs, simple graphs like cycles or paths, and other very specific special type of graphs. For general things, we don't know anything at all. So there are many questions one can ask here. Like, you can put colored things, like they have rainbow Ramsey numbers, or you're asking for graphs, and you talk about coloring of the edges of the graph, and then you talk about subgraphs where specific patterns appear. Right? So this kind of graphs with certain type of colors appear. So there's a lot of questions here, and if you want to have some more topics on this covered, I can try to say that. I want to know, like, what kind of things that you would like to see. Okay, so about it being as a generalization of PhD, essentially, in the lecture itself, I think I covered that. Which was the lecture that we. Okay. So there is an excellent, introduction or like survey by a person called Alexander Soifer. He writes, this kind of books, which is like kind of telling a story. So he talks about the history, how these things were developed, and then he talks about why the problem is interesting. What are the kind of work that has been done, and while he doesn't discuss too much of a proof, he will give you essentially all the references that you need to find out the relevant results and proofs. So this is a book by Alexander Soifer, Ramsey theory. I think, let me just, I have the book. Yeah, Ramsey theory with the subtitle Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. About Sri Khande, I am not an expert on his work. I don't know anything about his work. Well, I have just glanced through, something on that, but I really don't know much about it. But of course, I can provide you reference if you want. I can send in the group discussion. I can find some couple of references which may be interesting to you. So specific graphs like this, I am not necessarily an expert. So, because there are too many topics in this. So yeah, so this kind of specific graphs, maybe it's not a good idea to discuss in the course, but I can of course send you some references if you are interested. I can find something and send. So just send me an email in the discussion forum, and then I will reply to you with the answer references. I don't know whether I should be talking about Olympiad topics in this. I mean, I don't really follow up those things. There are a lot of books, I believe, but you know, usually we don't want to spend this discussion for such things. That's what I was told. So yeah, so and yeah, I don't follow much of this Olympiad things. I mean, of course, there are lots of books which discusses previous Olympiad questions. It may be very helpful. I think there are even some books by Swaifer, whom I mentioned, which is also discussing this kind of thing. There is another book on Ramsey theory by Graham, Rothschild, and Spencer. So this is Ronald Graham, Bruce Rothschild, and Joel Spencer. So this is another book which discusses the work with it's basically a book which which deals with the results on this with some proofs and things. So this is also a nice book on Ramsey. So, any further questions? So any other questions? As I mentioned, if any of you want some further things to be discussed, like something is not clear in the course, that I can definitely try to provide some additional lecture. So just let me know, by an email or in here itself, like some topic that you find difficult, or like you find some specific issue with understanding something. So you have to be specific about it, because then only I can try to explain what is required, right? So tell me what you find difficult to follow, right? Or why you find it difficult, in the sense that, like which concepts are not clear to you, thing like that. So in case something like that you want me to do, let me know. Of course, it will take a few days before we can review the material, but it will be done. So the idea is to basically learn, and so wherever you find difficulty, you have to inform us. I believe that you should make the discussion forum more active by asking your doubts on the material that is covered, and then try to use it to solve your assignments. Vignesh, it seems there are no more questions.
Okay, sir. We can close.
Okay.
I have ended the live, sir.